Still working and renting in her 70s, Jane never even dreamed of owning her own home. But a parting gift from her generous landlord has changed her life forever.
When Jane Sainer started hunting for somewhere to live, St Albans in Melbourne's northwest wasn't a suburb on her radar. But she spotted a two-bedroom flat with a garden that looked just perfect.
Saw this one in the local paper, and when I came here I thought, oh, I just really want this place.
And boy, is she glad now that she moved into this house.
He just said, I've decided to leave it to you, and that's all he said.
Landlords are usually asking for more money, not John Perrott. He gave her the home for nothing.
Still sometimes think, oh, did this really happen?
For 22 years, Jane rented the unit off John, paying $200 per week, always on time, and for most of those years in cash, just like John asked. She was working hard at a wholesale fruit and vegetable market to make ends meet.
I am 74 years old, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to Epping every day. When I first moved in here, there was absolutely nothing here except that tree. But everything else here I've planted. Hydrangeas, azaleas, the fuchsias.
So you've really put a lot of love into this house?
Yes, definitely.
You couldn't pick a better tenant, really. But then again, John was also the best landlord.
The kitchen sink blocked up, and by the time I came home it had been fixed. The heater, he'd get that checked every 2 years or whatever it is because it's gas. Yeah, he was just a good landlord. These pots here, and especially this one, was his father's.
So he gifted you his father's pot because he knew you love gardening?
Because they were at his place doing nothing.
But the multi-millionaire living in his own quaint home in Melbourne's northwestern suburbs saved his most extraordinary gesture till last.
I got a phone call from him one day and said, I want you to talk to my solicitor, he's here at the moment, and can you give him your full name? Because I'm leaving you the unit.
By then, John had moved into a nursing home, battling Parkinson's disease.
Very, very unexpected. And I thought maybe I didn't hear it right.
John died in September 2020. He was 86.
And it also sounds like you'd found a friend in John.
Yes, definitely.
Do you miss him?
Yeah, I do. I miss our chats, yes. Well, it changed my life in the fact that I didn't have to worry. I knew where I was going to live for the rest of it, and maybe eventually I could retire.
And you have.
And I have.
John Perrott worked long hours as a local pharmacist. He never married and was an only child without any direct relatives. But he involved himself in community activities all his life and eventually sold the pharmacy, investing the proceeds well in shares. Very well.
This was John's house.
You wouldn't know he was a multi-millionaire.
No, definitely not. The television that he had was probably 40 years old, and in the end the picture was green and it had a hum in it. And I said, John, get a new television. Oh, I don't think one will fit in here. I said, yeah, well, for John.
It seems not many knew of John's good fortune until it belonged to others. Not just Jane, but patients here at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, where he donated $19.6 million. It's the biggest contribution the hospital's ever received, and one that will help countless other strangers John will never know.
It was incredible. Words could not describe such a generous gift from such an unselfish gentleman.
Professor Nigel Toussaint from the Royal Melbourne Hospital tells us John's money will go towards the nephrology department, where doctors helped him some 3 decades ago.
So that was a life-saving gift, I guess, to get him off dialysis, and he was obviously grateful for the care that he received.
And as Jane prepares to paint the walls of her own home, she's taking none of it for granted.
I thank him still every day of my life.
Yeah, what a generous man. We need good stories like that, don't we?